So in today's episode, I'll talk about how to animate the eyes. What the eye can do, as seen previously, is that first of all, it follows the face to move around, so the angle X and angle Y is active for the eyes, its overall shape, and then there are the open and close animation for both sides. That is the IL open and IR open perimeter. And then there's the eyeball X and eyeball Y, and that is moving eyeball around. And as you can see, individually, or depending on where its position is at, the eyeball may look different. Like the eyeball area may change according to which position it's facing. So that is a lot to cover, and today I'll just talk about this one and this one. For the eye open and close, I'll leave it to next episode. Anyways, let's start by breaking down the layers. And at this point, I assume that you can, you know how to import textures, how to put in the polygons, and how to move around the parameters. Because if you don't know those, then you may have to go back to my last few episodes, because otherwise I'm just going to skip ahead into talking about the layers and how to do the animation. So let's look at the layers. First of all, they are separated in two parts. There's the eye part and the eye parts and the eyeball parts. So for the eye, there's one deformer, and I call the eye transformer, and it's the main transformer that determines where the eyes are at as the character changes angle. That includes when the character moves his head, tilts his head left and right like that, and also there should be a body X and body Y. All these factors are actually dependent, and breathing doesn't move it for this case. But yes, mostly the body move, the neck moving, and also the face moving. All these are factors to where the eye positions are at. So we don't have to do, like, this sounds like a lot, but it's not really, because first of all, the concept works like this. So you have to make a deformer of the eye. What it does, it has its perimeter angle X and Y only. That's all it has, angle X and Y. And basically it tells where it's at according to the face that follows face. Well, you may ask, why not have all these parts just directly become the child objects of the face deformer? If you look at my older videos from like half a year to a year ago, yes, all the eye parts are actually child object of the face deformer. So by default, as soon as you slap the eyes on and call the parents the face deformer, then you have this done already. But why do you have to do it individually? Well, that's because as I mentioned in the last few episodes, currently I'm figuring out how to do things more advanced, and I've been looking into how the official samples do things. This is how they do it. They separate different deformers for the mouth and the eyes. They directly are located under the neck deformer, but the neck rotation, but not the face deformer. So which means that once you have, if I take these off and show you what you're supposed to be seeing in your case, what you have is, once you have all these parts and textures imported, when you move the face, the eyes don't move at all. You see this? This is what you should be looking at. So that's the case. It's more work, but you'll see why I do this. It's for better details and refinement. Anyways, let's go back to the samples and finish talking about the layers. So there's the main transformer, the eye transformer, and it controls everything under the eye, and its parent is the neck transformer. So when neck transformer only controls angle Z, so when this is supposed to be done, at least this is supposed to be done when you tell the eye transformer to be the child object of the neck transformer. So it's just a rotation, which means that theoretically, the neck rotation is also the child object of the angle X and Z, body angle X and body angle Z. So if you have these done already, they will be applied already by default. Okay, so That's about the eye transformer. It moves the eyes in position. And then there are so many texture layers. That's because we have 6 of them are eyelashes. Now if we zoom in a little bit and have a closer look. So here's the one part. Let's click this side. There's the right lower eyelash. So this crimson color, the red color under eyelash, that's called the right lower eyelash. And the right upper eyelash, which is this arc over here, but it doesn't cover this part because this part is actually the right side eyelash. It's important to separate them. If your art style does do the eye this way, then you have to separate them. If not, if you just one simple arc and it's not too curvy, it's not too dynamic, then you don't need the third part. You just need up and down. Now, how do you determine that, and why do you have to do that? It's because when you close the eyes, right, you can see that these two move individually, but this part also changes individually. You see the shape changing as I close the eyes. It does not change its shape in proportion to any other parts. So it's sort of on its own as it closes down, and that is why you need it separately. Otherwise, it will break into weird, very weird shaping, distortion as you close the eye. And I've done it before. It's a big mistake. Now I've learned it. You have to do it separately. So you got 3 parts on the right, the up, lower, and side, and 3 parts on the left, up, lower, and side. Up, lower, and side. Again, this is the right eye, and this is the left eye. Never forget. Never mix them up. All right. This is right, and this is left, according to the character. So you got the 6 part there, and then you got the eyelids. Eyelids are what actually this. You can say it's invisible to you, but obviously it's there. It's basically a piece of skin color material right under the eye. What it does, it's when it closes down like this, or actually I'm going to pick the upper eyelid, so this part. As you can see, as it closes down, it drops down like a curtain. And it does function like a curtain in the sense that what it does, it cover up the eye white. So if I turn it off, you'll see everything is up. Alright? Or maybe I'll do it this way. I select it and then I'll slowly turn down the opacity. As you can see, this eyelid, what it does, it basically cover everything behind your eyelid as you close the eye. If you don't have this part, then you don't know what to do with the extra piece out. And obviously you cannot shrink everything along. You cannot squeeze the eye whites and the eyeball along as this drops down, or else that would look really weird. I've tried it before and it doesn't work. So you need the eye covering up. So you got the eye, I call them eyelid. You got the right upper and right lower, and then the left upper and left lower. So maybe I'll leave it later, but just a quick note is that all these parts only concern either IL open or IR open. So all they matter in terms of parameters are these 2 parameters. That's all they have to do. Everything else, leave it to the transformer, move them around. All they function is opening and closing. Now there may be extra functions. I'll talk about those in future episode because those are beyond the basics. Those are when you have different eye shapes. For say like if you have certain expression is when it gets excited. So like you may have this eye open and it's part of getting showing excitement. And when it's very excited, it might turn into a star shape or a heart shape. Now in that case, you will have one parameter that controls it, calls it like excitement bar or whatever, right? You call it excitement, and as it goes higher, it would turn up the eye, open wider, and then eventually it will just be replaced by and other material. Now that's very advanced, so I'm not going to talk about that here for now. So let's stick to the basic, is that all it does is open and close. And I'll talk about the animation and parameters in a bit. But let's go to the eyeball and look at the layers. For the eyeball part, there are two transformers, left side and right side, and you need to have them separately. You cannot just have one main one and control both. You need to have them separately. And all they do is really functioning the eyeball X and eyeball Y. And then you got the 6 drawing materials. There is the right eye white, the left eye white, the left iris, and right iris. So basically what they call the eyeball, but I usually call it iris, this purple part. And then the spotlight, very subtle, but you see this little white spot here? It is a separate piece. And there's a need to have a separate piece, and I'll talk about it later. So these are all the layers you have. Okay, let's talk about child and parenting. For the right eye and left eye transformer, their parents is the eye transformer. So go to deformer, or unless when you create it, it's already done. But if it's not done, or if it's wrong, then you have to go here. So you click the right eye transformer, or you can control click both. So now you're selecting both transformer, right? And then find eye transformer and click it. So now it's set to as the child object of the main eye transformer. And the rest here, now this is a tricky part. For the iris and for both iris, have them related to the eye transformer, or individually, right and left, alright? So left iris, go with left eye transformer, and the right iris, go with right eye transformer. The rest though, these 4, go with the eye transformer. I know it's weird, but just do it for now. So the spotlight, both spotlight, and the eye whites, both eye whites, have them to be the child object of the eye transformer. Alright, so sadly these two transformers each only control the center purple iris, and that's all they do. Everything else is the main eye transformer. And so let's talk about, I think that's all for the layers. We can finally get into the parameters and how to animate things. Now let's first talk about, let's do eye positioning, I think. Yes, eye transformation, eye transformations for that part, which means we are going to talk about how do you do this. How do you have both eyes following the face movement, which extends to following the neck movement and the body movement. So how do we do this? This is pretty straightforward. So let's close down the ones that I've already made and open 2 new ones, and these are not done yet. So that I can show you step by step. Well, I won't go through all the steps, but at least the first few steps. And let's see now. Let's go to the eye parts, and first do the eye transformer. All right. So click the eye transformer, or actually you don't have that, right? All right. So click eye 2, and let's assume that we don't have a transformer. Let's delete this one. Okay. So go to eye 2. And let's go create, or make sure you don't select anything. Keep it clear. You may see pink highlighted here on the group parts, but nothing else selected. And also you don't see any red dots, blue dots, red lines, or whatnot. All right. Make sure it's empty. Create deformer. You have the name change to eye main transformer. Destination part, which basically means the group name. So it's I2, it's right on. And this is already here because you selected, you highlighted I2, right? Associated deformer, like I said, this should go directly related to the neck rotation. not neck transformer, neck rotation if you have one. If you don't have one, just leave it for now, it's fine. Or you can go and create it. It's pretty, actually just leave it for now. So if you don't have the neck rotation, just leave it out for now. For types of deformer, go for curved surface, not rotation, curved surface. And then number of Bezier divisions, 3 times 3 by 3 and 3 by 3 for both, and press OK. And now you see your waffle, your friendly waffle. Move around. It should not move anything in your picture. If it does already, then you got something wrong. You may have selected something as you created it, and that's why as you move this around, it's dragging along something else. Means that it's already in control of something, and you have to take it out, or just back a step and make sure you're not selecting anything and do it over again. And now you can freely reshape it, transform it into a size that works for you, which now we are currently the main eye transformer, so let's sort of position at the middle. Make sure it includes all parts of the eye, and that's it. I have a little smaller, but that's cool. And that's cool. Now let's talk about a little bit all little tricks that you can work, some hotkeys that helps transforming transformers. Now let's say you want to do this, so you're scaling up and down. It's basically the same as using Photoshop and a lot of other painting softwares. Shift click is how you hold the scale, and Alt click is anchoring the object at the center. And if you have both Alt and Shift and click, then you'll be scaling along or with this object anchored to the center. So that's a pivot point, and you're scaling up and down without worrying that it might distort the thing. Alright, so let's move to a little bit. Okay, so after you hold down click, and you can move it around. But at this point, if you're holding down click and then hold shift, then it will lock the alignment. So either lock to the x-axis or the y-axis. This is how you, oops, that's my phone. This is how you have your object move according horizontally and vertically in a very accurate movement. And everything, okay, so the arrow key also move it in by pixels, and you can hold down shift while arrow key, well actually that doesn't move anything, but you wouldn't need to because arrow key is already locked to a certain alignment, unless you do diagonal ones, which is a little bit more complicated. But up and down, left and right, this is how you make refined movements. Let's see. Control also does something. As you control click the corner, you will see that the original size is still has a hollow image at the back. You see this gray area in the back, gray lines. This is the original size, and currently you're previewing your change size to be changed. And why this control does this is when you have some material already related to the deformer, and you want to change the deformer size, but you don't want to scale up the image or the material. Now that's the point when you press Control and then move this around, and this is how you rescale the deformer without moving the object if it already has something in control. Or other deformers, like if it has a child deformer and it has some other materials, it also wouldn't matter because all it does is changing this particular deformer and its size. And at this point, Shift applies, Alt applies, and Shift Alt applies. Everything works. All right. Okay. So just to cover all the basics. Now where was I? Okay, so let's look at we're doing the deformer, right? We're doing the deformer. I want it centered around the eye like that. And that looks fine. Perhaps let's do a little bit narrower. And that looks fine. So we got this. Next, we need this material to become the child object of this transformer. So click the top one, left lower eyelid for me. Click this one and shift click the bottom one, and there how you highlight everything. Or you can control and click each of them so that it would add up together. And so once you have everything selected here, wait, does it go by next transformer? Okay, I know why. Yeah, it is. Okay, right. So if you just import these, supposingly it has some deformer that is not related, or it's not the right one, or it has no deformer at all. It doesn't matter. You have to change it at this point. You select all of these, and then go by I to unselected this or whatever surface. So the deformer we just created. All right. So everything is currently related to this transformer. If we move this around, you'll see the eyelashes follows, the eye cover follow, but not the eye whites, the eyeball, and the spotlight yet. As you see, only a eye mask is sort of following the transformer. And if you're doing that, then you're correct. At this point, you might as well go to eyeball and have its both spotlights and eye white also related to the transformer or deformer you just created. So now you have everything moving except for the eyeballs, and that is correct. And we haven't done the eyeball transformer yet, or you have them already, but let's ignore. Let's put it down. Let's put it in for now. Go to the eyeball parts, and then you should not have these deformers yet, but now you should add them the same way we just did. So make sure you're not selecting anything, and create deformer, and then change the name, make it in the right group, and just press OK, and have one to the left side, have one to the right side. I'm just gonna skip the rest of the details. And for the parenting, have these two related to the first transformer you created for the main eye transformer, and the rest of them, most are done already. All you have to do is the left iris and right iris both relate, or actually individually related to the left eye transformer in eyeball in the group, and right iris for the right eye transformer. So this one should move this one, perfect, and the other side should move the other one, and it should only move the iris but nothing else. So it's perfect. Now if you have both transformer already related to the main transformer, then when you move this, you will move everything by now. And if you're seeing this, you can take everything out without a problem, then you're doing it right. And great job. So, okay. We should have everything set up and ready to go for the perimeters. So we got two parts to cover. One part is the open and close, and the other part is the angle. And there's also, actually open and close is something we talk about in the next lesson. So we have the angle X and Y, the eyeball X and eyeball Y. So let's do this part first. We want the eyes to follow around, at least when it's open in a normal state and look in the center. We want that to be followed. And you haven't done the yes, we haven't done the perimeter. So click on the transformer, the main one, and click on angle X and angle Y. So if you highlight this part, it should be pink. If we don't have this already merged together, you see this side area here, very thin area, If you click it, it will merge both parts or unmerge. It's just for our own visual. It doesn't affect anything within the already. Like if you already have things done, so for say a face, you have it done already. By clicking this and unclicking this, it wouldn't matter. Like it wouldn't change anything you've done. All the works is saved. It's just your own visual. And also you can do like this, like these area, you can do it. Otherwise, you need to do this and this, which is kind of weird. So you got this. So if you have this or you don't have this, all you have to do is to click on one of them or this one, just click and you open up this menu. You can control click both. All right, and then add 3 keys. Yes. To make sure you've done it right, click this again and go check. Oh, actually you can't. Never mind, you can't add 3 points at the same time. So you have to add angle X at 3 points at -30, 0, and 30, and angle Y at -30, 0, and 30. Okay. And obviously it's not moving yet, but at least you got these green dots on and you're ready to animate. If you don't see green dots, you're not ready to make any changes. So let's do it. Let's do the 4 directions first, and then we'll use the Synthesized Corner tool to do the other 4 diagonal corners. Now, like if you remember what I said in last lesson or something we paired already, there is 4 guide image, which are the left, right, up, and down face. And as I've told you earlier, you should have done the eye put in already, and this is the reason why, because you want this to help you with the eye making as well. So let's do it one by one. Go to face down. So this is the turn on guide for face down. As you can see, there's a blue image of the face as it looks as it drops the face lower. And if you do angle Y, go to -30 at angle Y, you will see that the face should be about that part. Now it's not exactly the same because after all, it only helps the initial sort of general positioning, but after all you need to turn off the image, step back and have a better look at what's right or wrong. And if following your guide image perfectly but it doesn't look right on its own, then it's wrong. So ultimately you need to go with your instinct or your art sense at the spot. So that's why it's not fitting perfectly, because I made refinements after putting it in. Now let's have it face down. Let's have the guide image up, or the down face image put up, and then return to the main transformer here for the eye, and make sure it's also looking down, and so angle Y should be at the bottom. Now move this to about the area, and if you want to move it straight down instead of shaking it off or whatever, you can use your arrow key, or you can hold down Shift and then move this part, which then would lock its vertical line. Now I'm gonna move it about the. Actually, let's make sure it's back to the center because I moved it a lot just now. Okay, so let's shift and move down here. And I'm looking at the iris because the iris is pretty much a better indicator than anything else where the face. Actually, not the iris is the second one. The primary location or primary sign to tell you what the position should be is really this cross lines. So this contour line and this contour line. These are the main indicators for me to position any parts. It's I guess it goes by case because if some of you may be better at or more used to looking like you're better your instinct go with the eye locations, then just go with it. But for me, it's always the contour lines for the best indicator. So if the contour line is about the right, and then I look at the iris and have a better check, it seems all right there, and the shape is the rest of the matter. Now, again, the eye shape is basically, well, it works the same as a face shape. If it doesn't match your guide image perfectly, that's fine, because you don't need to. After all, you need to go by your like the image in front of you. That's the most important part. So I guess why it's a little bit squished down is because this angle has changed. Not only that it moves down, it should have slightly change in its angle, and so now I'll do that. I'll go to, actually let me lock these parts. I'll go to the transformer and I'll move it a little bit here and here. Maybe this. This. This looks okay. Slightly a curve down here. You can move this down. Be very subtle about these. Don't make major movements because, like I said, details adds up. So individually they might look like very subtle that it wouldn't matter at all. Whereas if you're done with everything and you take a better look, everything moves very a lot more dynamic than you have expected. So just very subtle, bit by bit, and that's all you need. So what I'm doing, I'm not really looking at the eye of the shape. Obviously, I am looking at the contour lines. You see this, the grid. It's basically your indicator of what the contour lines are. And if the grid follows contour line, obviously this line and this line shouldn't be matching this one. But if you imagine there's one contour line you drew previously at this angle, it would go down here, from here to here, from here to here. So that's why I'm holding up, like I'm pushing up this angle, this corner. And then I'm gonna make sure the shape is right finally. Alright, so the shape comes last. Maybe I have to do this instead. And that's about right. And I turn on the guide image, I turn off. And as you can see, as I drop the head, that's the change. There you go. Very little. I could do a little bit more in terms of angle, but there are two, well, first criteria, first condition is how much your face is moving. Because if your face is only moving a little bit, your eyes wouldn't drop too far, or else it looks like the eyes are dropping out of your face. So it should be in proportion to your overall face. If your face movement is subtle, like this, your eyes shouldn't be moving too much or too little. Secondly, as I said in last episode, since I assume some of you are still starters and you're not used to Live2D, do not go too far. Really keep things simple, keep things smaller scale, and then expand your comfort zone afterwards when you're better at things. So we have this done, and obviously left, right, up are not working yet, but I'm not gonna do that in front of you. I'm gonna save the recording time, and hope you can do the rest without a problem. So what you would do next is really turning on each side, and then follow what you just did, and just make sure you check the shape is right after you've done things, and also it follows the face. And that's about it for the eye main transformer. And once you've done the 4 angles, all you have to do is synthesize corner. And when you do it, make sure you select angle X and angle Y for this case, and press OK. And then you'll have all 8 sides correctly done. What you will see would be, let me give you a preview. What you will see is basically this. You see at the center, your eye looking straight forward, That's where you start, right? But now you have every angle, or at least these this area, everything worked out, and it's looking to, it's facing forward. So it's not looking at you, it's not looking away, it's not looking anywhere else, but it's looking where it's facing. So it's looking forward this side, and this one will be forward this side, and this side. Alright, so it should be doing this. Yes, alright. So you should have gotten that done. Next part is the eyeball. Eyeball, it's basically just almost about the same thing, except that alright, there's one trick for the eyeball I gotta mention. Let's go back to this part. And let's say we're doing the face down, or actually, well, it doesn't sound like it matters, but actually it matters. So let's do the eyeball. Have a look. All you have to do, all it's not done right now, is the right eye transformer and the left eye transformer, because the eye white and spotlight follows the main transformer, which has been done already. All you gotta do is really do the both irises, left iris and right iris. But then you don't want to move them on their individual parts. You want to go to right eye transformer and left eye transformer and work on them. The parameters they need to be worked on is eyeball X and eyeball Y. So again, if you don't have these merged already, hover over to the left side and click on the blue box, and then you can see them merge. And now you go to eyeball X and eyeball Y. There's some leftovers, but it should go like this. Eyeball X, add 3 keys. Eyeball Y, add 3 keys. So a -1, 0, and +1. Press OK. Go to the left eye transformer and do the same. Click on this part. Add 3 keys. Add 3 keys. And something is done because I previously forgot to clear out the leftovers. Alright, so make sure it's off. Let's do it again. Alright, let's go here, X and Y. Go here, eyeball X and eyeball Y. And now you have 9 green dots, and obviously they shouldn't move anything at all. Okay, so let's do eye up. What I mean is, let's do the eyeball when it's looking up. When it looks upwards, it should be looking straight, like it should be looking on top of your head, almost like you have a hat and it's looking at it. Because currently this is normal state. It's facing center. It's looking at center, and it should be looking you in the eye. Now, as it looks upwards, if it looks upward, it might be looking somewhere around your forehead. If the head is up and it looks upward, it might be somewhere on the top of your hat if you have one. Like if you're like nice top hat or a fedora, and you look at it, like if she's looking way above your head, this is when she looks at it. But if it faces center and it's looking up, it's somewhere about your forehead. And I'm just telling you to make sure you get a sense of it, what it's supposed to be looking like. So how do we do that? Simple way, or the normal way, straightforward way, is to control left click both transformers, and you'll see this red box containing both. And now if you click and move around, you would see everything move except for the spotlight, and that is correct. We don't concern about the spotlight for now. Just ignore the spotlight, all right? And if they're getting in your way, then just simply turn off the visual of it, and now you have it. The normal eyes, and we want to do this part, so we want to animate this part. Now go here, right click the top dot, and then move upwards. Not too high up, because that would almost look like its eyes rolling back, but somewhere about this point, or actually that's still too much. Let's say about this point. actually this point, and then click elsewhere and select it. And as if you do this, you would see its eye moving, looking up. And it should also apply in other angles. Obviously the eye is not falling. Well, I haven't done that because in your case it should be done, but in my case, since it's a quick sample, I haven't done it yet, so it should be like that. But what I mean is when the head turns up, the eye also turns up, and this iris also respectively go up a little bit more. And if that's done, that it's correct, but there's a better way to know exactly how high up it should look like. And in fact, you should take this advice, because if you're thinking of using those default animation expressions, sort of like the idle movement in Live2D Viewer, if you want to use default tools, you have to follow this advice. All right, this is how you figure out what it's like how far it should go up when it looks up. Now go back to your guide image. Remember, you did guide face down, not up, face down. All right, turn on face down, and turn your face down as well. So everything should be in place except for the iris. They should stay in the original position, or it should looking straight forward. Now this is where you find out how far up it goes. Remember when I told you to draw the guide image, have the eye looking back at the viewer in all four angles. This is the purpose of it. It's because you already have a guide image of where the iris is as it's looking up, and with its face down. Alright, so make sure your face is down, make sure your eyeball is up, and at this point, double click those. Again, make sure your face is down, eyeball is up, and place it exactly as you have drawn it. Because assuming you do your drawing okay, then it should be your best guidance. Maybe a little bit taller, higher. So I can do the arrow key to give me more refined movements. So about this one, which was just exactly or about where I was expecting it to be. And as you move your head back up or any direction, it should have the right position already. Repeat this method 4 times for each side. So if you want to know how far left it should look like, turn on the right face, go to the right face, and go to the your right, or this side opposite side of the eyeball, and then move it over. And again, after it's done, it should look straight back at you, almost like it's talking to you. The eyes are looking at you, staring at you. Make sure when its face turns left, the eyes are right. When its face turns right, the eyes are left. Do the opposite side. All right. Repeat this 4 times, and then synthesize the corner. And by now, if you've done that, you should have this part. So you see the original sample I've done already. When it's looking left, when its face is turning to this side, the eyes turn this side, and it fits my original guide image completely. If I do this side and go to face left, and I move the eyes over this side, again, it goes as the guide image say. So that is what the guide image is for. That's all precision work is for, and you should have this right now. You should have this. Look at any direction, and then this part also animated. Now, a little bit more about this eyeball part. Now, you may ask, how do you, like, if you want to have the eyes really look all the way to that side? For a clear example, if I do center and I do this, what if I want this eye to actually go, or let me turn off these first. What if I want this eye to actually go like this far here? It doesn't look right, but maybe you want, or the way you draw it, it can go further to the left side instead of restricted by how far it should go back in order to look it back at you. Obviously, if the reason why it's not going all the way, it's because the face movement is limited. The face only moves a little bit, and as I said, the eye should follow the face. It shouldn't go too far more than the face in terms of animation, or the angle it stretches. Then that's limit, because the face doesn't move too far, the eye's not moving too far, and that's why it's not turning all the way to the side of the rim of the eyelash. Now, if you want to have further angles, here's what you need to do. Don't stretch it on your own. So don't just move these two and say, okay, I'm just gonna pull my own a little bit further. There's a problem. Although it might look right here, soon as you put into Live2D Viewer and use those default tools for your idle movements, for following the mouse, or for some expression that looks around, that's a problem. Because it takes the -1 and +1 parameter as its key points to how far it looks. So if you have your +1 and +1 for eyeball X and Y all the way back, and sometimes if you click this part, it would look like it's not looking at your mouse. It would, or the cursor. It would look like it's looking at the back of the head, rolling its eye all the way back, and it's trying to ignore you for some purposes, right? And it's not right. So if you want to have more than just this restriction beyond this border, here's what you got to do. You need to have more than -1 and +1. How do you do that? You let me see. You right click and then I think it's adjust. All right. So here's what you do. Adjust this part. Go for -2 and +2. So you double your limitations. And obviously you got to do the other part as well, because I've only done one part. But you don't want to do it now. You want to do this before you move everything. So you want to set it up at the very beginning at -2 and +2 instead of doing it now, because it would disrupt all the work you've done so far. And once you've done that, still have your +1 and -1 apply to the same way I just taught you. All right. Make sure when it's looking when its head is to the left side and it's looking back at you, that's how far its eyes should stretch for the opposite side. Make sure you have that rule still apply your -1, +1. For -2 and +2, you can do as much as you want. Go further beyond that. That's, well, not really exactly, but you want to have, you want to have those beyond the border to be beyond -1 and +1, or else it would mess up your Live2D viewer. And if you look at my older example, you would know that yes, that is a problem, because I in my past samples they all make the same mistake, and that's a part of it. So there's a rule for you. Have your guide image teach you how to look left and right, how to look back at you, and do the 4 corners for this part, do the 4 corners for this part, this part, and then synthesize them, and there you have yourself the eyes. Now I turn off the mouth because I haven't done it, and I assume that you haven't done it either, so I don't want things to get in your way. Oh, by the way, forgot the spotlight part. So spotlight is pretty straightforward. Just move them individually. So if you go back to my previous sample, or the new parts that I use for demonstration, originally I turned them off, right? Now turn them back on first, obviously, and here's what you gotta do. Go to eyeball X and Y, give it the same points. Like I said, if you're -1, 1 as standard, do this. You're -2 and 2, then yes, just help yourself do whatever you need to do. So you got these both in. Oh, oops. Remember to add both axes. Eyeball X, eyeball Y. There you go. Now you see both materials, the drawings, not the transformers, right? These are drawings. And these materials already have their green dots, both 9 of them. Perfect. Now, I guess they're not moving according to your eyes, right? What you have to do is, after your eyes move up, so you turn eyeball X to the direction you need to work on, and then select them both. Oops. Just the spotlights. And then move them up to the right spot. Now, it might look kind of like, what's the purpose of separating them? It's because later on you need this to, you may or may not need this also moving its IL open, IR open, according to which one it is. Because as you close the eyelids, if you're doing a spotlight different from mine, if you're doing a spotlight that is on the top corner of the eyes, right? Now, as the eyes covered go down, this would also shrink, also sink downwards until it completely shuts the eye. And while this moves, the iris does not move, and that's the reason you want to have the spotlight separate. All right. In my example, because it's at the bottom of the iris, I don't need this part. But in your case, if you have it on the top right, the top left, which I'll explain in next episode, then you will need the spotlights move individually when iris don't, and that's the reason why you have them have their own eyeball X and eyeball Y parameter. So that is about for this lesson. For next lesson, I'll talk about eye open and close. And if you are curious how to do further dynamic changes for maybe the eye turn or the iris open, expand or contract, or maybe you want to turn to a star, a shape, and all that, maybe I'll throw those into the bonus lessons far at the back. And if you have any special requests, because for say like you have certain eyes you want to do and you don't know how to do it, and or you want some advice, just let me know, and maybe I'll explain it briefly in next lesson. Otherwise, I'll leave it all further away at the future lessons. Okay, so hold on to what you have for now, and I'll see you guys next lesson.